Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. I know it's a very big group on our Mastermind Zoom today, and I'm really excited to have you all here for our training. But I just wanted to mention a couple of announcements for our regular Zoom participants. And the first thing we always do is we always talk about gratitude. And I just want to say that, I'm super grateful today because we have the opportunity to learn and get some training and to really, work on our business best practices, and we can come together as a group and really, train together, work together. And this is what this is all about. So I'm very, very grateful of that. And I'm grateful for all of you, of course, and practicing gratitude has really changed my whole trajectory of my life. And so I'm just very grateful for all of that. The other thing I want to mention is there's a big, giant amount of market parties and lots of events happening. We're at the close of the month, and it's a very exciting time for us all going into the end of the year run, and we have a lot of exciting promotions and things like that. So, definitely support your market parties, support your regionals, make sure your people get the opportunity that are new in our business to train and learn best practices and are involved in, having that opportunity, because I think when you start somebody out right, they really, really get the most out of this company and, of course, the business and everything. So training. One of the things about our mastermind is we do a lot of training every day, and we come together to really learn and best practices. And Kieran mentioned last week, because I had done a poll on my team page about what we wanted to discuss on the mastermind, and everybody said go prospect, and Kieran suggested we reach out to corporate, and they were very nice and scheduled their time to be with us today. So I'm hoping that Casey and Andrew are on. I can't see because there's almost 100 people on here. So if they could just unmute themselves and let us know, I would be very grateful.
Hi there, this is Andrew. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Andrew. Great. Okay, so Andrew, I don't know if we've met each other. We haven't, but I'm super happy that you're on with us today. We've got a big, giant group. I want you to know that you can share your screen. So you can totally share your screen. I'm going to unshare mine so that you can share yours, so that you can start our training today. So I thank you so much for being a part of our mastermind today and helping us all be masters at Go Prospect. So take it away.
All right, awesome. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Well.
Also, a lot of us have a lot of the same questions. I know we're all sort of, so we ask that people kind of use the chat. And as I look at the chat, once you've done your presentation, if we could maybe open it up for a few questions, and that might help us all to, move forward. Is that okay with you, Andrew?
Yeah, sure. And also wanted to let you know you can email training@nerium.com. training@nerium.com, and we'll be able to get that. And if I don't know the answer immediately, we'll be able to look that up and get that for you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I'm having some trouble getting my cell phone to hook up this morning with this, but I can walk you through the desktop while we try to see if that will cooperate. So first of all, Go Prospect is our new prospecting tool, and we have this available right now in US English and Canada English. As we introduce this to other markets, then you'll be able to see the assets that those markets have as well, and you'll be able to prospect to other folks in those countries also. So how do you get to Go Prospect? In your back office, just right here under Resources, you go to Go Prospect, and click there, and you'll go straight to the desktop version or the web version. We call it the desktop version, but actually you can access this from anywhere you have a web access, because it's just a browser. So you open it up on your mobile device, on your phone or your tablet, and you'll be able to get there as well.
Andrew, we can't see that part because you're on. We're not able to see the back office from our point of view. We can only see where it says your downloads, and it's sort of blank blue page.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay, so you have to get out of the next one, X out of there, and then maybe we'll be at Go Prospect.
All right, let me see if I can pull it over here. I'm sorry. Where are we? How about here?
There you
see
go.
It now?
Yes, thank you. There you go.
All right. I'm sorry. I was looking on the wrong side here. Okay, so let me. We can do that one more time. So I'm here in the back office. You see the back office screen, right? And if I go to resources and then down here to Go Prospect, that's where I would click. And if I'm logged into the back office, I'll go straight to my desktop version of Go Prospect. So there's actually the Go Prospect functionality works well with desktop or with mobile device. And so if you have a Android or an Apple phone, you just go to the store and you look for Go Prospect and install that. It's a free install. And for Go Prospect, the first 30 days that you have it is free. And then after the first 30 days that we made it available in your market, then it's part of the Edge. So you need to have the monthly Edge subscription to use it. So let's look at what Go Prospect does. You'll see that you've got some different features here. You can add a new contact, share a video, send a presentation, create a presentation, share an image, send an email. We've got these 2 actions a day for our 2-a-day prospecting system. And then these are just some setup reminders to let me know how to set up. This is on a different account, just a test account for Minnie Mouse. I can switch over here. This is my demo account that I've been sharing some. So can you guys see the screen now that says on the to-do has some actions with Ken Royal?
Yes.
Okay, great. So here I've got my contacts. You should, when you first open up Go Prospect, you should see the contacts have synced over from what you had in Go Build. And then on your mobile device, you can sync all of your contacts which are already on your phone. So those 2 sets of contacts will merge, and you'll be able to see each of them or all of them. But the way you import contacts is a little bit different on the desktop or for your phone. So on the desktop version here that we're in, you can add new contacts. If I click Add New Contacts, I can do here with 1 contact at a time and save that and add it. I can also import contacts. And if I have contacts in a list format, maybe I save them as a Excel file or a spreadsheet of some sort, or just have it listed on a data card, then I can import that whole batch of contacts using this feature here. But let's say I've already imported my contacts, and they would show here, and so now I can either make them hot, or I can also add levels of interest. Over here on the right side, you'll see interest level has some stars, and so that's just a self-rating. I can identify their interest and if they're hot or not, if I want to do 1 star to 5 stars or 0 stars to 5 stars for that matter. And then also there's a column here by points. So how does somebody get points? Points are accrued when I send something to that person and they do something with it. And so the more activity I have with a prospect, the more points they'll get. And so eventually you have a whole long list of contacts you'll be able to sort by points, clicking right here. And so maybe I want to focus on the ones who've been the most active. That's how I can do that. Here I have, if you click that plus button to the left, you can see the notes that you had for that person, and then you can see the most recent activity. If I click over on the right side where it says view, I go to the individual contact details where I can see all the information I have for that person. I see that they've viewed 7 videos, but they haven't ever gone to my website. And so you'll have a report down here that shows the activity based on what that person has done. At the bottom, you'll see the list, kind of the log of all the things that I've done, sent to that person, what they've opened, what they haven't opened. Any of those features are all going to be listed here on the contact page. I can go back to contacts. I can check on Casey, see what interaction I've had with Casey through this particular user. And also, so you get the same reporting, you get the same list of contacts. And then also here on the right side where it says prospecting tools, straight from this screen, I can send stuff to that individual. I can share a PDF, share a video, share a presentation, send an email, any of those things. Let's say I want to send an email or send a PDF. Then here it pulls up, I want to send them this presentation here, the new business opportunity presentation. If I want to preview that just to make sure I know what it is, I can click on that. And you'll see this is our new business opportunity presentation. Yep, that's the one I want to send them. So now if I click to share, I can decide how I want to send that to him. I'm going to send it via email, and then I can, you can actually send to more than one contact at a time if you choose to. And I can even add from this screen right here, I can add additional contacts if I want to make sure they get the same presentation. Here I've got some email templates that I've saved. You can also edit your own templates if you want to have it come from your own voice. You can save the templates and have whatever situations you want. That way you pull it up, somebody you met at the soccer game, somebody you met at church, somebody you met at whatever situation, you might have those saved as a template, and you can use that ready to go with just a little bit of customization. Now here, don't get where it says, hey, hi, contact first name, and then at the bottom it says my name and has the PDF. That's just a coding to let the system know what is going to go in there. It's not actually going to say first name when it goes to the person. You've got to check that you agree to the anti-spam policy before you can send an email to anybody. So that's important. And then I'm going to send that message. So here at the top, you can see that it was successfully sent. And then when I go back to my home screen, after that gets to his email, then I'll have another action item here under the to-dos. Now, so that's home and that's contacts. If I go over here to prospecting, within prospecting, there's a number of different categories. I've got digital media, the email, the to-do tool, a QR builder, presentation builder, autoresponders, and those email scripts that we talked about a second ago. So first I'm going to go to a digital media. That's this. I've got different categories here. It's important, I forgot to mention at the very beginning, up here on the top right is your country and your language. So for most of you guys, this is my demo account, so it's got all of our markets in here right now, but for what we have live for the field, you should just have US and Canada, and this one's just going to be English, but eventually we'll have other languages. So let's say I'm going to switch over to Japan, and then everything's going to pop up in Japanese, and this is going to be Japanese as well. But for us, we're in the US, and we are working on English. I have had a few people who emailed our customer service team and said that this right here was just saying market, or on their phone it just shows a globe. And so if you do that, go ahead and click on that, and then you'll be able to switch to the language or switch to the country. So if you've got that on your Android phone or your Apple phone, and it just shows a globe, that means you're not selecting a specific country. So go ahead and switch to United States and English, and then you'll see all of the assets which are assigned to that country and that language. So here you've got the different, these are videos. So all of our videos that we've got assigned for US English are listed here. If I switch over to images, then the same thing, it will populate with, should populate with our images. Uh-oh, that's trouble.
Hey, Andrew, while you're doing that, can I just let you know that a couple of the questions that came in. How do you delete a contact? And when you're merging your contacts in to the system, do they automatically merge, or do they make second copies, or what? How does that work?
Good question. So the key fields are the email address and the phone number. And so if you have two people named John Smith, but they have different emails and different phone numbers, then those will make second contacts. But if it's Jay Smith and John Smith and they both have the same email, then it's going to merge those contacts. And then for deleting, you can hide, or let's go back to manage contacts. I can do a couple things. I can list them as do not email. I can list them as cold, and then I should also be able to. I don't want to delete Casey, but I don't see it on here right now. That's a good question. I'll have to follow up and send that out to you guys. How to delete it from the desktop version. From the mobile version, you can, if you look under features, under settings, it will have the tutorial and explain how to do that. But also, when you're swiping, you can swipe up to hide that contact. Let's go back to prospecting. So I'll send you the details on how to do that from the desktop version. If you go back to digital media and go to images, it's going to pull up those images that I could send with somebody. Same thing for PDFs and for presentations. So one of the interesting things, we've got some questions about creating a presentation. So if you click on here, it's really a template. So you're attaching, let's say I want to attach a video and I want to attach a PDF. What did I select? I selected Why Nerium, Why Now? And then I go down here. I'm going to select Better with Nerium. Then I can save this as my Nerium's. So I just assign it something that I want to I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to have punctuation in it. The Nerium story. So I can save that as a template, and then I can send it out to somebody, and it's going to look like this. So whatever assets that I had assigned to that template is going to be what we call a presentation in this case. So I've got a video, I've got a PDF that goes along with it. I can download that, save that as a copy, or I can email that as a set out to people if I want to do that. So that's what presentation is. You kind of select choose your own adventure. You're choosing different assets that you want to go together, and then I can craft the email that goes with that as well. That's what presentations are. Then you can preview any of these assets with this gray button here that says preview. I can share any of those from this left side. So if I select a video, I have some options. I can send an email. I can create a QR code. Some of our countries have really asked for QR codes to go with any of our assets, so we've got that built into the tool. Not as popular in the U.S. It was more popular a few years ago, but especially in Latin America, they've asked for the QR code, so we built that in. And then I can copy the link. If I want to copy that link, here's a link to that asset, and I can put that in wherever I want. Let's go down to one-click emails. So if I go to one-click emails, here I will choose who's going to receive it. I'm going to send this to this guy. If I were to have contacts in multiple folders, that's where I would see this as well. I've got mine pretty simple with Americans, Texans, whatever. But you could have multiple folders. Just create those folders however you like, and then your contacts will be within those folders. You can actually have a contact in more than one folder. You could have them in friends from school, and also in California, and also in skincare. Whatever you want to have those folders named, somebody could be in multiple folders. Here I go down, and again, I've got my email templates listed here. I could select one, and it auto-populates. But within that, maybe I want to change it a little bit. I want to say, it was great talking with you today, but it was actually yesterday or last week. So I can edit it. It's got the template already saved, but I can edit that and change it however I like. Maybe I want to preview what that message looks like, so I can see it's going to have the header. It's going to have the asset that I selected, and it comes from me. This one's from demo account, which is not real convincing, but otherwise you can have that. It will have your name down here, and you can put your photo and other things here as well. So I can save that as a template. Before I send it out, I have to agree here to the anti-spam policy, but then I can send it out. I can also choose how I want to send it. If I know that the person wants to get it in plain text, I can select that, or if I'm not sure, I can send both. That's how that works. The to-do tool here, this is based on the activities that I've done. If you go back to your home screen on the top right, in fact, I can show you real quick. Right here, this to-do section, it only lists the most recent ones, but over here under prospecting, under to-do tool, I see that this is going to have the full list, and after I've got a lot of activity, then this will be pages and pages of activity, and that way I can scroll to wherever that is, or I can search by a contact name. Here's a search field that I can enter whatever, so I'm trying to remember, did I send that to Johnny, or did I just think that I sent that to Johnny? So you can search and see what you sent. The good thing about sending stuff through Go Prospect is that we track everything. Any of the assets that you send, any of the contacts that you interact with, it's all going to be tracked, and you'll be able to follow up on those things. The downside, one of the flexibility things that we built in is that copy link, which I mentioned a second ago. When you copy a link and you paste that somewhere, or you send it to some contact who's not in your Go Prospect system, we can't really track that, what happened to it. Did the person open it? Did so-and-so receive it? So I would recommend, if you're going to send an asset to somebody, it's better if you have that contact in your Go Prospect list of contacts, because that way we can track what that person did, and the activity will come up here on the follow-up actions. If you send it to somebody, you're certainly welcome to do that. It gives you the flexibility to send it to anybody you want. But we can't track what happens if that person opened it or not, because they're not a contact within the system. So here's follow-up, and here's the tasks that I've got scheduled to, and the due date of when that's going to happen. So I've got one that I was supposed to do I was supposed to call them for a sit down, but I didn't do that on the 31st of July. So I can go and reschedule that if I want. Or if I did it, then I can mark that as complete. So that's the to-do tool. Let's go to the QR builder real quickly. Like I said, I don't expect this to be as popular in the US, but maybe. One of the cool things is that when I create, just like that presentation that we had earlier, that I create a template, I can do the same thing with a QR code, that I can print out a QR code for any of the assets. And let's say I want to, if I click that, I should be able to then print this out. You see on the screen how it has all these pre-populated QR codes. I can print this out on Avery labels, and I can put that on stuff. And so let's say I've got some little note cards, or I've got some flyers, and I want to leave with my friends or contacts, then this will allow them to pull that up, and they can see my information, and they can see that particular asset. Somebody would have to have a QR code reader on their mobile device in order to access that, and so it's a little bit limited in that way. But it is very flexible in terms of giving you options. You can create QR codes for all sorts of, here you can see the specific format that you need. It's the Avery 5160, but other brands would also probably work as well. It gives you a link to download a QR code reader for Google Play or iTunes. That's QR code. Presentation builder, we did touch on this a little bit. That's where you were to select an asset, come down here, you can create the PDF to attach to that, make a name, and then save that, and then later I can send any of those out to my prospects as well. Autoresponders, this one's important because this is when I want to add someone to not just an individual email, but I want to add them to a whole campaign. So let's say I've got somebody who's interested in the skincare in the US. You'll see that we've got a whole list of emails that's going to go out. We've got 11 emails that are part of this campaign, and this is when it goes to them. So it sends an email on the first day, the third day, 6, 12, all the way up to the 53rd day. And then I can track if that person's opened up any of these emails, if they've all been opened up, if they've been read, if they've watched the video or the any of the actions. I'll be able to see all of that through my to-do list. I could edit one of these, or I could preview it. Let's say I want to see what this first one's going to look like, and it says, hey, thanks for your interest in Nerium's breakthrough anti-aging product. This is actually the subject line here. This first one, that's the subject line, and then this is what the person would receive. It says, don't wait for me. You can buy it right now, or you can go to my website. So that would be a pretty convincing first way to start. But then it says, you know, within that same campaign, there's additional emails that are going to go out to them at this period that you can see on this column for days. I can go back, I can do the same thing for wellness, just general US and the general opportunity. So we've got it listed in 4 categories: skincare, wellness, product general, and opportunity general. If I wanted to create my own email campaign, I could do that here if y'all wanted to do that as well. Then the email scripts, this is what I mentioned a few minutes ago, where I can create my own script and save it, and then I can send this out. So this was, hey, I called, but there was no answer. I'm following up after I left a message or a wrong number, whatever. So I've got all these different emails, and here I can edit that, or I can save it, I can change it, I can preview what it's going to look like. It's going to look like this when the person receives it, all of that stuff. I can add additional things to it, whatever I want. Over here under My Profile, so that's all of this left column. Let's go to the right column. It says My Profile. This is where I can edit my personal information. I can add my picture there. I can change my username and password. want to show you lead capture. So let's say I'm going to send an asset to somebody who's not in my contacts. So if I have an asset I'm sending to somebody who's in my contacts, Gold Prospect already knows that person's name, email address, or phone number, one or the other. So if I'm sending it, I have to have their email to send them an email. I have to have their phone number to send them an SMS or a text message. But let's say I just copy that link and I want to send it to somebody who's not in my system at all. If you turn this lead capture to on, then that means when they receive that email from me or that message from me, they have to then input their contact information in order to see that asset. So personally, I think that's kind of intimidating. Somebody who receives a message that says, hey, in order to see this, you need to input your information and then you can see it. To me, that seems a little too aggressive. I would rather leave that off, and that way you can send it to them and you can follow up with them. But you do have that option, lead capture, to capture their phone number or their mailing address or both. So that's where lead capture comes in. On social networks, you can integrate with whatever social networks that you happen to use. So you have to, if you have it on your mobile phone, you'll be able to instantly pull up anything that you've already signed into. You'll be able to pull up on your mobile device. If you are here on the desktop version, then you have to go ahead and enter what your Twitter handle is, or your WeChat, or your Kakao Talk, or whatever social network that you use. You have to put in your username so that it's able to log in and access it. But then once I do that, I can send a message, or I can post on social straight to Facebook. I can post it straight to Instagram, or whatever my favorite tool is. This would, under autoresponders, can choose the settings for when I want to see those actions, what I want to follow up with based on whatever happens through those actions. And I've got some additional settings. If for some reason I'm set to the different language, and when I log in, I want to see it in English, or I want to see it in Spanish, then I can change that again. Let's go over to training. So that's this first column on the right. Now, training. Right now, we've got one video in here that walks you through. It's about 12 minutes, goes through each of these steps, and you can see that as well. The training videos, what we put in the training section is not something that you can share, like email out to somebody, because that's just for brand partners. But all of the other assets are for contacts, and so those things can all be shared. The training documents, we've got a training PDF and a training videos. Those things can't be, are not supposed to be shared outside the system. And then support, if you click on support, that will let you know how to get in touch with our customer service team. And the way we've got it set up is that you contact our customer service, Nerium's customer service first, and we try to solve your issue. If we can't figure it out, then we escalate it to the vendor. And they've been really fast for responding, but we also get that ticket and we're able to track how quickly did they respond, or did they respond, is it still open, and we'll get that response back to you. So that's support. What questions do we have right now? And I'm going to try to see if I can get my mobile phone to sync up so I can share that with you.
Andrew, we got a couple of questions that before you do that, I was hoping we could maybe go through them before we go to the phone on some of these questions. If you want to go into the chat room, you can see a lot of them. Otherwise, I can kind of read them to you if that works for you. I don't know.
Let's see if I can get over there.
But one of them is some people are definitely having issues on certain devices with the videos. The audio is having a problem, so that's just an FYI. So this is from Gary. He said, I see the dialogue can copy, which many times is very good, but doesn't populate in the message, and I can't copy the description. So the message is blank and doesn't want to have a retyped paragraph each time. Like on IllumiBoost, it shows the description but won't let me use it. So I don't really, Gary, I don't know if that came off correctly. Do you want to maybe ask? Are you there? I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here. I'm here. So what happens is when I go, let's say I'm pull up the IllumaBoost and I want to send it to somebody. I see on my computers there's some green copy above, and it kind of describes IllumaBoost. New product, does this, and it's the canned copy that's there, and it's really good copy. The challenge is it doesn't let me copy that copy, and it doesn't populate it down into the message. So if I want to put a description of IllumaBoost in there, I kind of type my own. It takes time, and it's not as good or as efficient. And I wonder if we're going to be able to have that description. Like I said, I see it above. It's just not populating in the message at all.
Gotcha. Now you should be able to, from the desktop version, you should be able to, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Under this email scripts, you could also add your own copy here and save it, and then you could pull that up as an option.
Right. But the question is that copy that I see that the company has is really good. It shows it above. I can see it, but it's not putting in the message to the customer. How can we get that copy to be able to be put in the message? It's there, and it's there for a reason. I just can't put it in the message.
Yeah, that's supposed to happen. It's supposed to be in the email copy. Yeah. So we'll take that as a note and a follow-up action. I've got a meeting with the vendor this afternoon, and we'll try to make sure that we get that addressed.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
That's a good one. I'm glad that's not working the way it's supposed to, but yeah. Thank you.
Okay, next question. Is there a way to see the last group of contacts who opened emails or visited the link? Do we have a way of looking at that, or do you have to go in individually, or is there?
No, you should be able to see on your to-do list or on your mobile device. I'm really sorry. I'm having trouble getting my my mobile phone to show on the screen right now. But if you have your mobile device with you, if you go to the third, if you go across the bottom, there's a play function, a play button. Then there's a contacts button. Then there's one that's just a rectangle with some lines. That one's called the feed. That has all your actions, and you'll be able to see what's happened most recently, who's done what with it. And so you've got the actions and the reminders there.
When you add, can you add your own photos to the photo assets list to send out from Go Prospect? Can you add them from your, I would imagine your desktop, George, probably, but can you do that?
You want to add a photo to let's see. Is this different than this here on the
yeah,
on
I think
your
what George
profile?
means that if he's sending out a video to somebody and he has his own before and after pictures, can he add those photo assets to the list to send out from Grow Prospect? Or
yeah. Yeah, so under, if you go to prospecting, and then you go to one-click email, you'll see this. And if you want to add custom data or add media, then you should be able to add your own before and after photos.
That's and is that an individual thing, or can it stay in Go Prospect is, I think, the question. So it probably...
then you can save it. So you'll add the selected, and then it's saved. So let's say I've got my before and afters, and I save it there. Then you'll be able to add that. Hey, and that's a great template to share. Like, this product's really worked for me. I've been trying the new IllumaBoost, and it's really lightened my sunspots. Take a look at my 2 weeks ago versus today. I think that's a great suggestion that you would have, and that is certainly something that you can have in and save it and then send it out.
So you're basically creating your own template, is what you're saying? That's
correct, yeah.
Okay.
Or you're saving that asset. You're adding your own asset, and then you can add that to whatever. If you create a presentation, you can add that photo. Let's say you've got more than one photo. You want to add more than one in there, you should be able to do that.
Okay. I'm just going down this list really quick. When phone contacts are added, which list are they added to? If you want to send something to all prospects that you've personally contacted and you have their permission, how do you send them and not all the phone contacts? So I imagine that means how when they come in, how are they being, where are they going first before you maybe put them in a category?
for your phone.
I guess your phone
So,
and your laptop.
yeah. So on your phone, when you first install the app, it will ask, as a pop-up question says, you want to sync your contacts, and you'll say yes, and it brings in all the contacts which are on your phone. Then from there, you have a few options. You can, if you put your finger on them, on that individual, you can slide them to the right and make it hot, make it cold. You can, on the Android, it's got a little icon on the top right. On the Apple phone, it actually says to swipe. It's a little bit easier. But if you click the top right, now you've got kind of a gamification mode that you've got each of the contacts. You can swipe them to the right, to the left, up, or down. And so that way you can skip somebody, you can hide somebody, and you can list them to hot or cold. Once I've got, let's say I go through and I put 20 people in my hot contacts, now I can email that whole set of hot contacts from my mobile phone. If I want to go individually and put them into a category, I could do that. But the fastest way to take your whole list and just get the ones that you want to email to would be from your phone. You sync all contacts, then you go to the top right where it has the swipe, and you would make somebody hot or cold. I go through my list of contacts and I identify who are my hot contacts, and then I could email them, if that makes sense.
So one of the things on the phone, so the phone obviously works a little bit differently than the desktop is what I'm hearing. And so some things that we can do on the desktop, we can't do on the phone, and vice versa.
That's right.
So I think that's where we're also getting in a little confusion, because some of the other phones that are maybe a Samsung, they're having trouble syncing all of their contacts. I have an iPhone and all my contacts won't sync as well. How do we deal with that? I mean, is that something that you guys are working on right now, or?
Yeah, we've got new updates coming out this week as well that increases or improves the contact syncing function. So you should see some improvement in that this week. Also, the contacts are supposed to sync. Let's say I make a change on my phone to somebody, and then I send them I send Jerry an email, and now he's listed. I've got a follow-up action, and I've got that history comes into my feed, my news feed. Then that will also show in your desktop version that you sent this email to Jerry and what date and all of that. So those are updated throughout the day. That syncing back and forth. As soon as you send an asset or you take an action on a contact that sends a call through the internet, that tells the other version to sync that. And so just listing somebody hot and cold doesn't necessarily do that. I have to do something with them in order to make it show up in the desktop version. But they call back and forth several times throughout the day. So it's a matter of hours, not a matter of days that those things should sync. It should be pretty quick, not instantaneous, but pretty quick.
Okay, so I kind of went through most of the questions on the chat. If anybody else has any questions, unmute yourself now, and maybe Andrew can get to that. In the meantime, for all of us that have been on here, I want to just say that, this was really great. I saw some things I hadn't discovered before. I really feel like you got to use it to be able to really, benefit from this program, which I think is pretty great. If we do have more questions, do we send that? We send it to training. I understand that. Is there a way possibly that if we do have more questions, we might be able to do a follow-up of this, Andrew? Because I know a lot of us are going to start utilizing what you've taught us, but I'm sure that will breed more questions for sure.
Yeah, that's great. Let's try to do that next time. I'll have the mobile device working better, and we can share on there. You can also contact customer service. customer service. We've got calls with our customer service team throughout the week to make sure that we're staying on top of any questions that the field brings up. So you can submit that, or you can submit it to me at training@nerium.com.
And one more quick question. It doesn't seem like all of the videos from NCC has made it over to Go Prospect. Is that a continuing effort to get those videos, or what's happening with that?
Well, at Get Real, we had so many updates that we have updated the compensation plan, updated so many of our programs, and so because of that, we left several of the older, out-of-date videos that were showing incorrect information out, and so we've updated the videos and assets that we have based on our recent changes, and that's what we've brought in. So we'll continue to add videos, but I would suspect that a lot of stuff that was in NCC is not going to come in because it's just outdated.
Okay. If
there's something in particular that you really use, go ahead and certainly let us know, and that way we'll know that, hey, here's something that we need to put up on the higher priority list, and we can create a new version of that.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, there's one last question, and Karen, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself and ask it because I don't really understand what you were saying. So if you're there, could you unmute yourself and ask? Karen Hallaby.
Hi, Annie, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I know I made a typo when I was typing that. When we add a prospect to the system, we used to be able to add them to a folder right away. For instance, I added all mine to prospects. Now, I don't know where the prospect goes. Can you tell us where the prospect is automatically added to what folder when we add them?
Okay, so here on the, you'll be able to add them. You can create any folder. Here I go to create a folder, and you can add them to that. So it comes to all contacts. Is the default is just all contacts, and then you can add them to any particular folder that you want, or multiple folders.
Okay, so it automatically goes into the all, and then after we add them, we can transfer them then to our prospect folder. Is that correct?
Yep, that's okay. Right. So, and you could have them in prospects, and you could also have one in single mothers or attorneys or whatever. You could have them in multiple folders as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So this is a great contact relationship management system, and I've seen a few, and I really think that if we really embrace it and start using it, you're going to find it to be a lot easier to use. So I'm suggesting to everybody that we start really using what we learned here today, and as we go through it, if we have more questions, we can always email that into Andrew, and we can do another session on the Zoom. And I know it's gotten late and people need to get going. Breeze, your question was, in the NCC we used to select an email. Oh, can you? I don't understand what you're talking about. Are you?
Yeah, we used to. Andrew, this Breeze. Oh, yeah. We used to be able to, after we had our contacts in the data manager, after they were already subscribed, you can be able to change or add or put them into a funnel. Is that feature going to be able to come back on? I mean, that was great. I had a lot of drips that way where at least they were watching it, and then if there was a way we can be able to see the percentage if they did open it up. This was on the NCC, so I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, Andrew, or after you put them into the contacts and they were already in, and whether they were an opportunity or a product, you can be able to select them, and then they would be into an email funnel where they would get 7 to 10 emails, like almost 6 weeks.
Right.
Well, not every day,
yeah,
but
we do have that. Yeah, we do have that in Go Prospect as well, Breeze. If you look, if you can see the screen under this prospecting and to auto responders.
Okay.
So prospecting and auto responders, you see that we've got 4
Okay,
email campaigns that are built in already. It's just like what you're saying, the drip campaigns where they get several emails that span out over several weeks. And the 4 that
Now,
we've
if I
got built in already are
okay, yeah,
skincare.
I see that, Andrew. Okay, I see that. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Different than what
Just
you're
more just
asking?
thinking, well, that, and then able to select a folder. If I had contacts in a certain folder that I already harvested, and then I can be able to broadcast, how would I be able to add them? I think there was a question that was sort of being asked at the same time. Here's my question: Is I see the autoresponders. Am I able to select a certain folder that I've already harvested, and then they never opt out, and I'm able to put them in, and then it would just pick whether it's a Luna Boost or something, whatever's featured in there. Am I able to add the folder
Yeah.
or whatever I harvested? Like I call mine a certain folder, whether it's Class A or a dated from back in March or something, and then there's like 15 of them in there, and then I want to send them that same one. Hopefully they will respond, but am I able to add the folder to that selected autoresponder? That's what I was
You want to add a whole set of recipients at once, is that right?
collect. And or either if I had 1,000 already harvested, be able to select and broadcast them, as long as I know that they were, okay with seeing it, and then I would, like at one time for the eye serum last year, I selected everybody and boom, it just went all out. But if I wanted to select a certain folder that I've been just harvesting, as I know that they opt in or they got some data from me, I got their data from them, and then I'm able to select a certain, just like what I see here, which is good, but just a certain folder. I guess that's what I'm not able to see or be able to do. I was just trying to do it when you were teaching earlier, and it's like I'm still, and I guess like what Annie said, just got to just play with it. But I was just more, hopefully I'm being understood.
And maybe, Reese, you're right. You probably have to play with it a little bit. I think it's a great question. The other thing is that did we go over this? And I just want to make sure. Are we getting emails when they open up a video and the percentages of how much of the video they watched anymore? Does anyone?
You get, we don't get the percentage of the video that they watched, but you get whether they opened it and watched it, yes or no. You get that message.
Okay.
That comes back on your news feed on your mobile device. That is what is the center button.
Okay.
And then on your desktop version, that is on the to-do button on the you go to home. Here on the to-dos, it lists what has happened, who you sent what, and did they watch it or not.
Okay.
And then you can select that individual and see, hey, I sent this to that person, whatever happened to that. You can also click on that individual and see what happened to it as well.
Okay, great. Okay, well, Andrew, I know it's been an hour now, and I really appreciate your time and effort here this morning. I want to thank each and every one of you masterminds for getting on, and I hope we got a lot of your questions answered. I'm going to schedule out another time with you, Andrew, maybe for us to go over some new questions that we have and talk about the phone part, but I don't think we can get that all in today. So I just thank you very much for your time, and thank you guys for getting on, and I will see you all tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you,
guys.
Andrew. Thank you, Annie.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Annie.
Thank you, everybody.